Hey, yoga teachers, this recording is for you. Here is why. I received a call from a prospect from a huge international company 2 days ago. And they currently have a chair yoga teacher and they're very dissatisfied. The woman that I talked to is in basically like human resources, benefits, and she was just firing off questions at me based on what was wrong with their current situation. And while it's still fresh in my mind, I wanted to share it all with you because every single one of her concerns was an outline for my course that you might have already taken, a blueprint for teaching corporate yoga 20 hours. Basically, here's what happened. She called me up. She found me online. I do have a great website. You can check it out. It's breatheandwork.com. And I get a decent amount of calls from it. Now, her first question was, it looks like you do corporate. That's why I'm calling you, because I label myself as a corporate yoga teacher, corporate wellness educator, because that's what I do. And I said, yes. And she says, it also looks like you have chair yoga experience. That's important to us. Do you know how to teach chair yoga? And I said, yes. And then she said, what's your attendance like? And I said, what do you mean? What is my attendance like? And she said, well, like if we have a class every Friday, how often would you have to reschedule? And I said, oh, like, honestly, I don't even think in my course I teach you guys that, because there's some things to me that are so obvious, such as making sure you have every week covered, that I forget to even bring it up. So I'm so glad that she did. Now, for example, I get in the whole world of studio teaching, we are all constantly getting subs. It's happening constantly. Enough so to drive the studio owners a little crazy, to send out emails about how much we're getting subs. You all can probably feel me on that. Okay, studio teaching is literally nothing like corporate yoga teaching. If you don't know this, take my course, take somebody's course. Pay a mentor, do something to learn so you don't burn your own bridge. Unfortunately, this teacher could have had so many opportunities to work at this facility. It was online, I shouldn't say facility, this worldwide, hundreds of locations, I should say thousands of locations. And with all these simple little things, she unfortunately blew it. So the first thing I said was, oh, listen, if we are doing yoga every Tuesday, you will be given a main instructor, and then you will have a variety of backup subs that are contracted with my company, Breathe and Work. So you will always have yoga with your main instructor. And then for emergency, travel, and sickness, you will have one of my vetted, experienced corporate yoga subs. She liked that. And she's like, yeah, that makes sense to me. So I said, you'll always have Tuesday yoga. We talked about that for a while because apparently that wasn't happening. There was a lot of shifting of schedules, a lot of changing around, a lot of last minute cancellations. You can't do that in a corporate setting. So my first tip to you, you need to get your subs lined up. The client doesn't expect you to be there every week. Most of the time, yes, but it's totally acceptable to have emergencies and vacations. So you get your subs for those times. The second thing she wanted to know, and I do have to search my memory, is, payments. Again, I do talk about this in my course, but this is another obvious one to me. Listen up. Your corporate clients will not pay you Venmo, Cash, or Zelle. That doesn't happen. Don't even make the offer. Don't even make the offer. It's going to take your professionalism down several notches. You need already today, go figure it out, to be set up to receive checks, to receive credit card payments. Go talk to your bank. You can set up a business checking account, even a personal checking account. You can talk with so many different places. Just Google, how do I accept credit card payments? You can use Stripe. That's one that I use. I use QuickBooks, but Stripe is free because they're taking a processing fee. So it's not technically free. And then you decide who pays that processing fee. So you need to accept those two forms of payments, checks and or credit cards. Make sure you can accept both. Next, she was very concerned again with my company, me and my teachers' ability to have, we'll say, because this is virtual and a lot of stuff I do, you guys, I know it's post-COVID, I still teach so much online. Here's why. A lot of companies are like hers where there's multiple locations. Online teaching is a way they can bring their company together to do these really healthy activities such as yoga, chair yoga, meditation, and so forth. So online teaching, not going anywhere. If you want to partake in this fun, figure out how to successfully teach online. Again, I covered in my course. You could take classes through Zoom even. I bet there's a lot that are free. However, know that a lot of companies also use Microsoft Teams. She wanted to make sure I was savvy, and whoever I gave her as an instructor was savvy on Microsoft Teams. I find a lot of my higher end companies use Teams because it's more secure. And I often don't send the link to my companies. They send me the link. So they're sending me the Zoom link if they're using Zoom, or the Microsoft Teams link, because again, bigger companies, if they are using Zoom, have their own customized Zoom. So you need to be savvy with the technology end of it. Next, her next thing was, she's like, I also need like a high energy teacher. Again, I think most of us can be high energy, but one, just her feedback, you can hear me, I'm pretty high energy, I project my voice, I'm excited, but it's also who I am, right? So get excited about something, let the client hear it. That's something I think we all do in studio that can translate over to corporate. We don't have to be all buttoned up when we're in a corporate environment in terms of our really vibrant energy. That's what they want. So keep that studio energy, bring it over to corporate. I might be buttoned up in my attire, right? I'm not wearing a sports bra that I might teach at in a studio. I'm wearing, something very high up here, something that covers all of me, and so forth. Next, she was really concerned about my ability to engage. This is huge, and you need to practice this. This is a learned skill. It's something that past clients have taught me. I didn't ever do my first Zoom meeting until COVID. I've really taught myself, and I've accepted help from clients that said, you know what, Sean, let's do some dress rehearsals. Let's do some actual, like you just teach us, and we'll give you some tips. Are you looking at the camera? Are you speaking clearly? Can you ask us to turn on our cameras and give us feedback about our postures, about, if our alignment is correct, so you can still cue online. Okay. You can still offer great feedback, like, great job, Lupita, really good posture, or really amazing work, Beth. I love how your shoulders are really relaxed away from your ears. She really wanted that engagement, so it felt more warm and connected with her employees. She also, and this is a big one, wanted to make sure that I was able to teach and engaged. That's a learned skill. Get a couple of family members together, give them weekly classes, and learn how to engage with them as you're teaching online. It's not like a webinar where nobody's back there. You really do want to bring how you would teach in a studio in terms of positive feedback, encouraging people, giving alignment cues, asking them, like, how does that feel for you? Really getting feedback. And then the last thing that she wanted to know is something I do anyways, but again, I learned that for most of us, it's a learned skill. And I want you to think about if you already do this. I'm guessing you really might as a yoga teacher, but do you give them ideas for how they can apply what they're learning in your class to how they can weave it into their daily life? For example, hey, did you know you can do this calming breath after a stressful situation, after a deadline change? So you want to take what you're teaching them in this 30-minute class or however long you're doing it for, and as you're teaching them, give them ideas for how they can weave it throughout their day. Those were the things that, as I gave her examples of, yes, this is how I teach. You can see these references of mine on my website. and I was answering her questions, I was also giving her examples of, yes, and here's how I'll do it. Here's how my teacher will do it. Here's how my teacher is trained. Again, unfortunately, the teacher that they had wasn't doing any of these things, and it's too bad, right? Because there was a lot of business to had. Did I say that right? There's a lot of business to be had here, and a lot of ways that a teacher can branch out, teaching even classes daily, making them specific, teaching classes in other areas of expertise, such as if they're licensed as a nutritionist, or maybe meditation or other fitness modalities. So really make sure you're bringing your professional self, but still your high energy self, whether you're teaching in person or online. I hope these tips helped you. And again, I wanted to record them while they were fresh in my mind. And every single one was from a real life corporate decision maker of a huge international company. And once again, if you're like, oh my gosh, I have so many more questions, a few things. I send out tips, not every Tuesday, most Tuesdays, that give you really good tips. Read them, practice them. If you want a course at your fingertips, you can take my 20-hour course, A Blueprint for Teaching Corporate Yoga. I'll see you soon.